All right, we're live. This is fun. So I've known Teresa since way back when. I'm not even going to try to age us, but we've known each other for decades.
Grammar school, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm positive, right? Robert Semple, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Robert Simple. Remember when they had that playground that was made out of wood?
yeah, yeah.
The splinters.
Pirate ship and a
The
castle. It was magical until it fell apart.
exactly.
So I've got Teresa's been a guest several times, and that's cool. And we've actually worked on. She was the editor in chief for the San Francisco version of Where Traveler Magazine, and we had a travel podcast.
Yeah, we got to
And
get back
that
to.
has been, and hopefully we'll figure out some way to do some more of that stuff, Teresa, because that was fun. I like doing it.
Yeah, it was great. Well, I'm at Oat Living Magazine now, so I don't even think I have a copy to show anybody. They're all in my car.
You keep it for yourself.
I'm so organized. Do I have a copy? Oh yeah, I do. Hey, Cassandra, can you hand me that copy over there?
Okay.
Oh, I have coffee too. We're like Hoda and Kathy Lee right now, except for we have actual coffee, not wine.
Well, I actually have green tea. I stopped drinking coffee. So this is the latest issue of Oat Living Magazine.
Oh, there it is. All right.
Yeah, we I just built their website too, so we're getting everything up online. And it's oatlivingsf.com because there are a few different Oat Living magazines. So there's New York and Miami and Los Angeles, and so I'm the editor in chief of the San Francisco market, not all the other markets. So yeah.
Oat Living, what is it? I'm going to put it on the screen for everybody.
Here.
Oat Living
SF. SF.
SF.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so in our May-June issue, we have an exclusive interview with Sophia Loren talking about health, wellness, and beauty. She's 85 years old.
Wow.
And she looks amazing for her age. And one of our writers, Maria Castellucci, her family is from Italy and actually knows Sophia and her son, Carlo Ponti. And so we were able to get an exclusive, which is, phenomenal to be able to talk to such an incredible icon. You don't ever get that. She lives in Switzerland now. And she talks about, the shelter in place and the virus and, how she's managing through everything as well, which I love the intimacy of the conversation with her.
Right.
But it's just really interesting to see how editorial shifting because of the, all that we've been through in the last few months, So it's been a ride, my friend. And as you know, I had coronavirus, I caught COVID-19 and, spent 3 weeks in bed. And so I've got a really good appreciation of what this can do to your body.
Point. We talk about the deaths, the 100,000 plus deaths, but this thing, even if it's just, like it leaves very little mark on you, there's a lot of people that it severely damages and changes their lives and they survive it.
Yeah. So, the damage that happened with me, my lungs are fine, but it really destroyed my sinuses. I still can't smell very well.
Wow.
And everything's still very swollen. So I'm just really grateful because I'm alive. I'm healthy. I didn't lose a limb, no blood clots. I didn't end up in the ICU on a ventilator. So yeah, right. I feel very fortunate. I mean, still, it was a tough ride. There was many other places I'd rather be than in bed for 3 weeks, but
Mexico or
totally
Sao Paulo or
totally. Yeah. But it was great, now that I have the antibodies. And so I'm donating my plasma, which is a little tiring, they take my blood out.
Yeah.
Then they take the plasma out, spin it around. And then they put the blood in a saline solution back into my body. And I called them. I was like, hey, could we not do the saline solution part? Could we just, actually don't even put the blood back in me. Can you just take my plasma out? But I guess the way the machine works, they can't do that. And then I was like, can you put one of those vitamin C drips?
Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that be great? A vitamin C drip to replace.
And maybe my pre and my probiotics and
totally.
some kombucha.
Totally. Oh, totally. So much of that. So I drink so much kombucha. Oh my God, I can't even tell you. But yeah. Oh gosh. It's
Well,
amazing
while we
what the
wait
body
for
is.
Simonetta to pop in, you're running a magazine called Out Living, and you've been a model. She's been a
Mm-hmm.
model.
Mm-hmm.
What do you when you see what she's done? What are your thoughts on the career that she's built? And she's still, gosh, she's so young. I mean, like, to me, she's
Right.
not even close to 40 years old. So, I mean, she's a millennial
It's
and done this
incredible.
much. What are your thoughts?
I am just super amazed by it and very impressed. Number one, she's from Italy, so English is her second language. Um, if her background with respects to the work that she's done to improve herself, and also the therapies that she is capable of doing, and then writing the book and being a model and really carving out for herself this space in the fashion and influencer um, sphere, which is a very hard space to be in and to break into, and to end up with 2.1 million followers. That takes a lot of work and dedication. So as a woman who was a model and is also a best-selling author who has carved out my own space and is now a single mom, I am always so impressed by women like her. It's
Yeah,
the reason
and it's
I'm
one
here.
of yeah, and to be fair, you're really impressive too, right? Like, you just lifted off a bunch of things. You started several businesses, you've run businesses, you've published and bestseller and been all over the world. I mean, just to get to the point where you can write about travel for a living, that's a dream job, and you've had several dream jobs, so
Oh
you're quite
yeah.
the amazing lady yourself.
Yeah, I just, I made a commitment to myself that the only kind of job that I would ever take would be a dream job. And if it's not a dream job, then it's not. It's not what I want. And I think that that's a really important aspect of women like Simonetta and myself who thrive and succeed, is really focusing on what you want.
That focus is key, because you can talk about never having taken a or only taking dream jobs and not working for a living kind of thing. But that's easier said than done. There comes some significant stress and trials and turbulence in your life when you do that,
Oh yeah.
because the transitions aren't simple. You learn to withstand them, but whew, like, yeah, I've got a dream job, but to go from dream job to dream job, it takes some courage and some focus, because you really got to know that you can do this.
Yes. Yeah. The courage, the confidence. And I was really, I'm writing a science fiction book right now, and each character really speaks to me in a different language. And one of the characters that I'm working with right now is this girl who's from Ireland, and she's really insecure. And even though she's accomplished all of this stuff, she still doesn't know who she is. And it's really fun to play with characters, because for myself, I'm allowed to dive into my own insecurities and things that used to scare me, and now I can put those on paper. Like, for example, jealousy, and how we can really get caught in the jealousy loop, and
Right.
comparing ourselves to other people. And now I don't compare myself to anybody else, because I'm my own person and my own, I'm on this ride, so I'm staying in my lane. And I
Yeah.
think if
Yeah.
people stay in their lane, they choose the lane they want to be in first. But that's I think that's all part of living life, right? We don't know what lane we want to be in or what path we want to take until we
Yeah.
take a few bunch of paths and drive crazy, a few times, right?
Yeah. The other thing too, you sort of tangentially mentioned this, but the ability to not only find and get some business, but to stay out of other folks' business.
Oh
It's
yeah,
really easy to take on someone else's stuff and act like you have some kind of say in that, but get some damn business. Like, get out,
right,
like, unless you're here to help, get out of my way and
right,
go find your own work.
right. And when I mentor, when I mentor people that are in transitions, job changes, women a lot of women, especially at this age group, that are going through divorces or they've just lost their job or they're really trying to find their space. One of the things that I say to them is, number one, it's not your business what other people think about you, nor is it your business about what you think about other people. I mean, those two bookends aren't going to help you get to where you want to go. You've got to think about what you want and where you're going and your strengths and your weaknesses. What can people pay you for? And what are your interests as well? And how can you juggle all of that to make a career that works for you? But everything's going to be a sacrifice, right? You can't have all the quadrants filled. You can't have money and time and kids and a perfect relationship and, world-class travel. You can have bits and pieces of them all, but not once will you have those things all at the same time. And understanding that and being, aware.
Well, and learning to tolerate the uncomfortableness of that, like relationships, with your kid, with your family, with your loved one, your significant other, all those things take a hit and they pay part of that bill too, as you try to, I mean, look, if you're an editor in chief of something, it's all on you. If you've got to review the entire magazine again to make sure it's ready, that happens before you eat dinner.
Oh yeah.
And dinner may not happen that night,
Exactly. My poor daughter, she knows. We eat a lot of takeout because I can't cook and I'm not going to pretend I can cook. Right. So she knows that. I know that. Going through COVID, all my friends knew that. So we had a lot of food delivered. Mm-hmm. But I remember editing the first time that I was doing Wear magazine and international was spelled wrong. And I didn't catch it. Nobody caught it. And we went to press. And I just was waiting for the emails or the phone to ring saying, my God, you can't even spell international. But luckily it wasn't caught. So that's my little dirty little secret.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm terrible. I've lost the ability to reliably proofread my own stuff, as you're probably well aware.
And, but I don't think that people should, I think that an editor-in-chief's job is managing and overseeing the whole magazine and the feel of the magazine and the direction that magazine's going for that specific issue. I have a copy editor that does all of the little bits and pieces, making sure it's a colon or if it's a semicolon, if it's a run-on sentence. That's not my strength, and I understand that. But everybody missed the word international. So,
well, and it's easy to do. I mean, I routinely, I go to a lot of people's websites, and they're doing and I know what it's like. You know what it's like to maintain a website. As soon as you think it's refreshed and ready to go, you see the errors, you see what's not good enough, you see what's outdated.
Oh yeah.
And again, like you have your quadrants, and all of a sudden I have more than 4 things in my quadrant. Like I have to maintain social media presence. I have to improve the website. I have to improve the show. I have more than 4 things on my plate at all times.
Right.
And that part of the editorial process is what it is. You put the time in, and I try to track it on this whiteboard back here behind me, where I put up just a couple of things each day so that I'm at least making some progress, and I make them small tasks.
They have to be small. The only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time.
Yeah.
And, I do a lot of book writing for people. I just finished a book for Lily Sammy, who's a couture designer in San Francisco. She was a leader in the industry for 50 years here in San Francisco and was trained in Iran and France in the art of atelier and creation. And I always find it a bit amusing because I've written so many books that when I get a client and they're like, okay, well, I want to write a book in a month and in 6 months. It's not 6 months.
Yeah.
It's going to be at least 2 years. And because it's each page and each word has to be the right word. Each image has to be the right image. And unlike a magazine where we're producing them regularly, when you print a book, that's what you got, and that lasts forever. And it's also a huge investment, a huge investment. So,
and a magazine reads differently than a book. I mean, a book, you can lose someone in a book pretty easily on page
Hmm.
250. I mean, every page,
Hmm.
you have to pay the bill for the rest of the book. And
Right.
in a magazine, they can just flip to the next article or go, man, that's boring, and move on. Like
Right.
the cost is lower.
Right.
At
And
least
there's,
that's how I see it.
yeah. And so it's not that commitment, somebody didn't make that commitment. The last book that I wrote was for Jean-Charles Boisset, and that was a $300 commitment, so the book costs $300. So if you're going to spend that much money on a book, you really want to have a beautiful, amazing, incredible book that
Right.
is going to inspire you. And yeah. So this next book that I just finished is a coffee table book, and it'll be out, I think, third quarter this year. But yeah.
So you've written a coffee table book, and you've written a book that's full of physical textures, all these different
Hmm.
things. I know that you can do a lot of things, but science fiction, I
Yeah.
mean, that's quite the leap, lady.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Well, we grew up near Berkeley, and Berkeley Lawrence Lab has a particle accelerator there. And I've always been fascinated with particle accelerators. I am not a scientist at all whatsoever, but so many people have asked, Teresa, you have to write your life story, your memoirs. They're insane. I said, there's no way I'm going to put my book in a memoir, but I can put it in a science fiction book because most of the things that have happened to me are like out of a science fiction book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, it takes place at the particle accelerator, and Dr. Davies is the head scientist there, and his goal is to find the life force particle. And
Wow.
so he brings in 4 top PhD students from 4 corners of the world to find it. And the way they find it, and using inmates from San Quentin, and
Wow.
it's just insanity. But I actually had an opportunity to go visit the particle accelerator. Once you start the particle accelerator, when you get those protons running, you can't shut it down, right? It's not
Right.
a thing you shut down, nor can you get really close to it.
Right.
And my girlfriend Beth Schnitzer invited me to a party, and I told her, this was 3 years ago. That's how long I've been working on the book. I've had to do a lot of research. And I told her, I'm like, oh my God, I've started writing this book about the particle accelerator. And she's like, see that guy over there? I'm like, yeah. She's like, he's one of the head scientists
He's
at the
the
party.
guy.
He's the head scientist at the, and I'm like, you're kidding me. So introduced me to him, and he said, okay, well, if we ever get a chance, if I ever get a chance to show you the particle accelerator, I'll let you know. 2 weeks later, he texted me and said, we had to shut the particle accelerator down for maintenance. So do you want to come over tomorrow and see the particle accelerator? And you can go in and under all of the big tubes and wires, and to actually see where the source energy leaves and
Wow.
rolls around the whole thing, which you can never ever do in real life, because once you start that, it's magnets and radiation, and
Yeah.
so I was blown away by it. It's incredibly fascinating. So if anybody, for those who don't know, the purpose of a particle accelerator is to get past all of the molecular structures that are in cells and atoms, and go beyond. So this is where we were able to see the DNA, to see DNA. That's where the atom bomb was created,
Right.
is in a particle accelerator. So so these scientists' goals are to find the life force particle.
When is this book due out?
I told my agent, so I have an agent in New York, and I told her that I would get her the manuscript in the next few months. So once that happens, it's the process just keeps going.
Yeah. So we're still a year out.
We're still it's year out, but I'm sure that somebody like Netflix or Hulu will buy it and turn it into a series, because it's insanity, and it's so close to the truth as well, with all the research that I've done, that there's a virus involved. And this is the irony.
Of course there is.
There was a virus involved before this last epidemic. And I was like, oh my God. And a few of my friends are like, Teresa, I really hope you're not forecasting the future with this book.
Yeah. Well, life does imitate art, or art imitates life, whichever way you want to look at it.
Right.
And, it's
right.
Yeah. Is this a hard pivot for you? Are you thinking that
No.
you're going to dive more? I mean, obviously, if the book takes off, it's going to force your hand. But um,
I
what are
think
your
that this
thoughts?
is the next version of Teresa is
Yeah,
science fiction. Um, and the reason why is because I am so creative that working with people in a nonfiction space is great and I love it, but
yeah,
nonfiction is truth.
right.
And so I've been living in truth my whole career, and also with fact checking and being in the media and writing for Huffington Post for the 9 years that I did.
Yeah,
It's all fact based.
right,
Science fiction is not. it's
right.
and so it's so much fun to be able to throw something in there. You know, my daughter and I have been watching Marvel comics at night instead of the news. And I love them. I love the superheroes and I love their superpowers. And so it's given me a lot of inspiration too with each of these characters.
Yeah. If you tuned in and you're waiting for Simonetta Lein to come in, we are also waiting. I'm not sure. Something must have happened because we were talking prior to the show. So I'm trying to communicate with her through back channels while Teresa and I catch up. But Teresa is a great guest in her own right and has her own work she's doing with oatlivingsf.com. It's a magazine. And then also, just in general, she's been on the show several times now as an author, as a publisher, that kind of thing. So you can always check out more about her. And if you're trying to connect with Teresa, what are you using Travel Diva, or how
Oh
do
my
people
gosh.
connect with you?
You know, it's so funny because I looked at Simonetta's Instagram. She's got 2.1 million followers. And
Yeah,
I'm like, crap, do I even have Instagram? Did I
right.
set that up a while back? And I do. And it's at Teresa, Teresa _ Jet Set Mama.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
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 Well, and if you can't find Teresa, just you can find me, P.A. Turner, and then I will connect you to Teresa. But she really is fantastic. And one of the things I love about what you do, like throughout all of your lives, you still keep those pieces of those lives with you. Like talking about single mother traveling,
Hmm.
like just get a passport. Like you've
Right.
already, it's a small thing. It takes just time and a very small amount of money to get one. But now you can go to anywhere. And
Oh,
right
yeah.
now, especially like once it's a little safer to do so, places are paying for you to travel to them. What an incredible time it is about to be to travel.
Right, right. And I feel very, very fortunate because I do have the antibodies. So I had to test weekly for COVID, and which sucks. If anybody's done the COVID test, it's awful. And then they tested my blood, and I have the antibodies. So I'm doing two things right now. I'm working volunteering with Verily, which is a Google company. They did a lot of testing for the COVID virus, and now I'm part of their research project
Right.
for the clinical research of antibodies and the virus. And so they track my blood for 10 weeks to see if there's changes in the level of antibodies. And then also I'm giving my plasma. So I'll be doing that again next week. I'm O positive, so they will give my plasma to an O positive patient who's in
Yes.
ICU dying of COVID.
One of the we've learned so many things, and in that learning, we learned that we know nothing. Like
Right.
the status of the mask has evolved dramatically. Like its
Mm-hmm.
journey has gone in every direction possible that I didn't even. It's like back when the hanging Chad was a thing, and you're like, I didn't even know those things were called Chads. I didn't know they had a name. And the mask is the same thing, where you're like, I know way more about masks, and realize that we don't have a consensus on those. What is the
Mm-hmm.
consensus on your ability to catch COVID-19 specifically? I guess again, did we know?
The truth is we don't know anything about this virus. People keep asking me, how did you catch it? What did you do? Where did you go? First off, I really don't know where I caught it. I know that
Right.
I was flying back from Hawaii on March 12th. I
I
was
could
at
do
the
it.
airport and I was on a plane.
Right.
So the propensity for that being how I caught it is quite high.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And I think that that's why we just have to be safe and wear our masks and, 6 feet apart. I don't know.
It's crazy. So my girlfriend, we traveled right around that time out to New York, and we didn't really wear masks because it wasn't really a thing yet. You
Right.
know, like you could, but we washed our hands nonstop and everything
Right.
else. But before we even went, like that weekend, she had gone to the Forum for an Oprah event, and Rita
Oh, well.
Wilson, Tom Hanks's wife, was there, and she was in the middle of being contagious, you know,
Oh
in
God.
the Forum.
Oh my God.
And she's Rita Wilson, so it's not like some lady who's like, "Oh, I had it," and you know, my girlfriend and I hung out, and like, no, she was in the Forum, you know, being Rita Wilson, touching everybody, talking about
Right.
her time on the Brady Bunch, Tom Hanks, and all that stuff. Then we get on an airplane, we go to New York City,
Oh my God.
as it was like when we went there, like they were shutting it down, like we were able to move around. There were restaurants that were open, but everybody was kind of already like pulling back, and so
Right.
Manhattan was empty, you know,
Right.
which is crazy. You know,
It's
that's crazy.
crazy. It's crazy. It's like
We
the
got
Omega Man.
we went to a really nice Italian place on Saturday night in Manhattan and didn't even have to pause at the front door. Like
Wow.
just went right in and sat down. Our waitress said, "I am a Roman. I just came back from Italy.
Oh no.
Everything is okay though. They took up my temperature." And we're like, "You've been serving us for 30 minutes before she let us know." And like literally the next day or the day after that, they shut down Italy. You know, so
Yeah.
this lady comes out of Rome and serves us food. You know, all these things that and my girlfriend went to a conference with about 50 different people talking,
You
exchanging.
guys
We went to Elixir afterwards,
dodged bullets.
but we didn't get it.
Yeah, you dodged some big old bullets.
I know we tried as hard as we could.
You tried so hard to catch it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's crazy. We just don't know enough to know enough, and you have to go on living, and you're all about living well and everything.
Right.
So I mean, do you have advice for like, you know, I'm not asking you to be a doctor or like that, but what are your thoughts on just how does one continue? Because as a second, we already know that we're going to have a big test in about 2 weeks after all the protest stuff and
Right.
how this thing spreads, and that may not even be the actual second wave. So, what are your
Right.
thoughts? How does one live with this? Because at some point you have to work, you have to go out of the house, you
Right.
have to do these things.
Right. So I think that the first thing is that we really need to look at our own immune system. Why is it that some people catch it and they only have a cold or a cough? They lose their breath a little bit, or they lose their sense of smell. I have two girlfriends who caught it and really didn't have many symptoms, where you've got other people who are ending up in ICU with ventilators and others that are dying. So one of the things that I think that we should look at is what is happening with our immune system. For me, I really was on a huge immune booster protocol, which I started in January. And so when I caught it, my immune system was already built up.
Hmm.
And I think that if I didn't do that work beforehand, that I would have suffered a lot worse. So I would say to people, find out ways for themselves, because we're all different, on how to build your immune system. It is a virus.
Yeah.
We don't know how the virus works. You take a virus like the herpes simplex, right? Which my sister died, when she caught the herpes simplex when she was 1 year, she was 4 months old. She got a cold sore on her eye and it traveled to her cerebral cortex.
Wow.
And so I think that's why I'm so interested in viruses, is because I watched, my sister deteriorate.
Right.
And we were always very cognizant of the fact that it was a virus, and, how they work. We don't know how they work, really. They're
Right.
crazy little creatures. So understanding your own immune system, trying to build your immune system up, keeping your hands and keeping my big problem is I touch my face all the time. I'm a face toucher. So there was a doctor who was on CBS and said that he's been taking precautions. He had to take a plane. He was wearing a mask. He was wearing gloves, and he touched his eye. And guess what? He got COVID.
Yeah.
So it's something as simple as that. So I think keeping your hands, I think that people should go around not with masks, but with those, cone of shames
Yes.
that dogs have to wear, so we can't actually touch our faces.
Hey, it looks like Simonetta's coming in.
Oh,
So let
good.
me work on that, because I got to make sure her camera stays off. But let me, I'm going to go full screen on me and see if I can do this well here. Let me see. Let me give her a second to get sorted out. She's not even sitting there yet. And that was good. I mean, we were doing a whole show in our own right.
Well, we could talk
Simonetta, can you
forever.
hear us at all? Let me see if I can bring her in, and I'm gonna put this thing up because we have a deal I gotta look through. Everybody stand by for a second while I try to get Simonetta in here. Oh, she's not connected yet. Well, let me take this thing down. 2.1, is that right? 2.1 followers on
2.1
Instagram.
million. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that's a
I think
lot.
I know it's crazy, and good for her too. My goodness. Simonetta,
You
are
hear
you
me?
there?
Yes, yes. Do you hear
Yeah, we
me?
can hear you.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
great. I was trying to get connected and I couldn't. So I'm here.
Okay. Well, welcome to
Good,
the party.
good
Thank
morning,
you.
beautiful.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys?
We're
We
fantastic.
are good. You're with Teresa Rodriguez as well. She's a lifelong friend of mine, and you will understand what she does. She is a former model, a best-selling author, a travel writer. Now she's writing a science fiction book. She's just a fantastic friend, and just such a great illustration for being what being a fantastic woman is. I thought she'd be a great co-host to talk about you because, hey, you both are incredible women.
Oh, thank you. Yes, of course.
I was watching your videos online, my girl, and you haven't been to Vegas yet.
You're right. You got me.
I was like this amazing, gorgeous world traveler who's, written books and speaks languages, and she hasn't been to Vegas.
I know. You're right. When we were talking about it, I was like, I didn't go to Vegas yet. I have to go.
Oh my
So we were,
gosh.
yeah, we were talking with Michelle Martinson, and we were saying as soon as the world goes back to some type of normality, I have to go. That's my next
Hmm.
appointment.
Yes. Well, I was talking with Pete because I had COVID. And so I actually have the antibodies now.
Oh, good. So
So
you're strong, super
so I'm
strong.
strong. So I'm actually going to Vegas, taking my daughter and a few of one of my friends and her daughter. We're going to Vegas for 4th of July.
Oh, nice, 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 nice.
Yeah. So come join. Oh, well, you don't have the antibodies yet. So we got to make that
Not
work.
yet, but
So
I'm fine. I'm super strong.
yes, you are. And super beautiful and super, before you got on, Pete and I were talking and we were just singing your praises
Oh my
of
gosh.
all that you've accomplished at such a young age, and you're beautiful. And
Thank
my
you.
first thought was, when in your life did you know that this is what your path was going to be?
I always say that it was kind of a work in progress
Uh-huh.
because I started very young at 16 as a very young model. But
Uh-huh.
then I always had the interest in culture. I studied a lot. I have actually 3 degrees. So I
Yeah.
kind of combined both worlds. And I always say sometimes, you might have a goal or, something that you want to do, but then it's not that it changes throughout your life, but it kind of becomes bigger and even better what you were thinking, because like I said, so at 16 I was a model, and then I studied classical studies, so I studied Latin and ancient Greek, and I was always very good at writing. So then I went into my second part of my life writing my book, but then I
Mhm.
also was always interested in art. So my first degree is actually is in fine art as a painter.
Wow.
And yes, and then because of that, when I was there, I was like an amazing lady that she was an actress. She told me, why don't you start again? I was like maybe 19, 20 years old, and so I started also with acting, and then I kind of compiled everything together along the way. Of course, social media helped a lot, because with social media I was able to not depend on anybody else, in doing what I love to do, and in a way put everything that I know, everything that it's in my passion, in my expertise together, because I still do my interviews. So I still use, of course, my kind of acting, of course, host capability, but I also write for Entrepreneur, write for Forbes, so I still write. So, and then of course I model for brands. So in a way you have to be creative, and I always say, whatever you're doing in life, it's always good. People think, oh, I have that goal, I have to do only that. And to me,
Right.
that is, we are multifaceted diamonds. So we
Right.
have, so
I love
many
that.
facets that, we can explore. So right now, I would say that finally, maybe right now, I kind of know who I am a little bit. I know that there's still, a lot, but it's interesting because I look back and, I thought I knew back then. And then, I've learned and learned and learned. It's just a fascinating, work in progress.
Well, I love the fact that you're able to transition, and that's a skill, my friend, to be able to transition and figure out, to pivot. So was that always a skill that you had, or how did you learn how to do those pivots in your career?
I think I kind of knew it I mean, I was raised by two great parents. My father is a medical doctor. My mother is a
Oh,
psychotherapist.
oh
And
wow.
they really, gave me that background and those skills, in order to kind of, be resilient and learn how to, change and evolve. So I had maybe that, in my DNA a little bit. And then,
Yeah.
of course, in the teachings that they gave me, I always say, how I was actually thinking right now how parents, the role of parents is totally so important, for our society, because they are, our first role model. So for me, they are my role models. And then I was very lucky also with my husband. He's another role model of mine. So he also taught me a lot in how, to not give up and, keep on being persistent. So again, I had, some qualities in my DNA and always, learning from my parents. And then, you know, I always say you have to kind of have the good people around you,
Mm,
because for as much as, you have everything inside yourself, but you always have those moments that you want to give up and you're tired. And
yes.
you need that. There is
Yes.
this story that I told once in a show that always gives me inspiration about Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi
Hmm.
was a lawyer and he had a lot of dreams. And he was what you can think like a lawyer of a small village with a lot of dreams. And he wanted to fight for civil rights. And it was actually his brother that told him, I'm going to back you up. I'll help you. And he actually told that maybe without his brother, he would have never become, the Mahatma
Yeah.
Gandhi. Mahatma
Yeah.
means the great soul. It was
Right.
Gandhi, but it wasn't the Mahatma Gandhi. So
Right.
I think that is interesting. We all need, a help and,
Yes.
support system.
Yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree. So is your husband in the industry, or what does he do?
So he, too many things. So his primary job is a financial advisor. That is,
Okay.
what he does. But then another thing that he does is he knows how to fix everything. So right
Love
now
it.
is we purchased a property, so he's fixing it completely, a fixer upper. And then he also learned how to be in the industry. He manages me, and he actually put together the TV show that you guys are seeing.
Oh,
He's
wonderful.
also the president of the non-for-profit that we have, the Wishful Foundation. So many hats.
Ooh. Yeah, that's awesome. This is my little girl here.
Hi, nice to meet you. Hello, hello.
She's a little model. She's with Stars
Nice.
and has to start homeschooling soon.
Wow.
And so, how did you can't just overnight build 2.1 million followers.
No,
That is
definitely.
No kidding.
epic.
Thank
So,
you.
how did you do that? Because that's like magic.
So I always say, first of all, it's, your content. So definitely quality over quantity. To me, it's, rule number one.
Mhm.
You have to be coherent in what you're doing, what you're saying, and always have, like I said, good quality. So meaning, really investing since the beginning. If you think that social media is your business, or somehow, I mean, social media should be a professional tool for everybody nowadays, even if you're not an influencer, because of course it's, the first thing that
Mhm.
you show to people. So I always say invest with, good professionals, maybe, you can say, okay, this month I have, this amount of budget. It doesn't have to be, stratospheric, but a little bit, because you have to have a good photographer. You have to have, of course, if it's your face, you have to, present yourself well.
Right.
Trust me, it gives like a huge difference if, you are, well adjusted and you're showing, good content, that, if your images are blurry. And so that is, of course, rule number one, really deliver quality. And then, I mean, there are, of course, tricks and tips, and in how to grow your social media. One of the tricks that you could use, that is actually becoming very, very popular nowadays in social media, are joining giveaways, which are, right, a great way to give back to your community. You actually are really giving, money, or
iPhones. I saw you were giving iPhones.
Exactly. So, my audience is very, very happy with it. And, one of the requirements is to follow people. So I always, when I can join, I like to do that, because of course, I give back, plus, you grow your following. And then it's also nice because, of course, people will, will also learn to know you. There are, of course, for as much as, of course, I've been blessed to becoming recognized as one of the top 5, etc. There are still, many people that might not know me. So it's another way, of marketing to, be out there and, know new people. So that is, of course, one of the easiest tips that I could share, that, of course, helped me. And then throughout, of course, my career, it's also, contributing to Forbes, Entrepreneur. I contributed for Vanity Fair for 3 years. So also, try to, again, if you deliver quality, try to keep up with yourself. And one day, they'll respond like they did with me. And, you can also use in a good way their platforms, to increase your own, brand. You don't have, in this business, in my opinion, you don't have to be afraid in giving, because, if you think that you're going to receive first, in general, in life, I think that it's a mistake.
I love that piece of advice. So let's talk about Vanity Fair. Did you just pick up the phone? Because there's so many people, I'm in the magazine industry myself. So can you just give a little, just a little story of how you chose Vanity Fair and how that all happened?
So that because again, I wrote my book, and even there, people in general, if you want to write a book, don't expect that, an editor will be right there giving you so much money. You have to write. You have to invest your time in yourself. There are people that don't understand that point. You have to invest. That's what I did. I invested a lot of time. I wrote 250 pages, of a very well done book, until the point that I got actually an interest in an editor, and I got so many no's. So that's another piece of advice, keep on going. Don't think that because they tell you no, that you shouldn't. And again, it's an investment on yourself and your brand. So I kept on going until I found actually this very, very big publisher, because I was so lucky that this big publisher got my book. The book actually started to, go very well, and it did not go unnoticed. So through actually a friend of mine, she was a publicist, and even there, another piece of advice, like I said, I always say, you don't have to spend a ton, but just prioritize in life. I mean, I understand that if, for instance, you're launching a book, right? I mean, you can even don't do anything, and you know what you will get. Otherwise, you can invest a little bit and you'll get more. So in that case, I decided to invest in a good PR. And she actually had a good connection with the vice director of Vanity Fair. And she just introduced me. And so that's why I say, it goes end to end. It's let's be honest. It's, of course, who you know, but also what you deliver. So yes, I knew the right person. And I had actually something very unique, because my book was about the power of dreams and how, you achieve your dreams. And she was very intrigued by it. And so she said, why don't we try to give it like an angle on Vanity Fair, interviewing, the celebrities that we usually interview and more, with your unique angle, seeing how, they achieve their dreams. And then actually from there, it became actually even bigger, because then they asked me to do the radio for them and videos for them.
Wow, that's
So, you
great.
know, so that's another piece of advice. Again, you can, start again, you have to give. So in that case, you cannot, demand that, people will just, come to you just because you are cool. I
Mhm.
mean, you
Right.
have to, and to me, it's actually, it's again, it's rewarding, because I was able to, build, and I have to, really thank, I would say, myself in a way. And like I said, my parents and my husband, but I really earned it. And that's also, I think a big satisfaction in life. I know that, it takes time and it takes a lot of effort, like I said, but it pays back in my opinion, if you're serious about it. And again, don't get discouraged if they tell you no. They told me no so many times. If I would have
Mhm.
listened to their no's, I would have never done anything.
That,
um
that's such a
so
great point. So
thank
for
you.
those who are interested, you can look up at simonetta.com or on Instagram. You put up stuff everywhere. So if you guys are interested in learning more about all of the things that she does, those are really good sources for it. When you were talking on your interview with Mickey Burns, I think that's his name,
Yes.
Mickey Burns, about the amount of time you work. Like you've been talking about the results of this work, but give
Yes.
everybody an idea of how much day-to-day work you're doing and how long it took to start to get these breakthroughs. Because you're right, like people say, build it and they will come. Yeah, you got to keep building
Yeah.
until they keep
Absolutely.
coming. So give us an idea of what
Absolutely.
that looks like.
So like in life, you have, I always kind of like to do an analogy with nature. You have to have your seeding, your preparation,
Mhm.
period, and then your seeding period, and then you'll see your fruits coming. It's the same thing in my opinion, with business. So of course I had, my preparation. It was a lot of investment. And if I can give like you know how could you say, like a tip or an advice also to some very young people that might listen to us. Again, don't be afraid, like I said, to give. I mean, when I was 19, 20, I've done so much, what you can call, I mean, I went and I worked with everybody. They were calling me, I was going, I was always there. You have to, I mean, you cannot demand that you are so young, you have no experience, and people will be one, two, three, right there, for you. Again, I'm not talking about being unpaid. That's not the point, but be humble,
Mm.
just understand that you have to start somewhere. So I see, and again, I am a millennial, and so I advocate for my generation, but still, if I could say something to my fellow millennials and also younger, again, be humble. Like I said, give first. So I gave a lot. I went and I did a lot of even just helping other people, just to be there, just to learn. um like for instance, even when I wanted to study acting, I was creative. I didn't have all that money to pay for my tuition. I studied with members of the actor studio. It was a private course. It was very expensive, so I was always very good with English. And so I proposed myself. I said, at that time I was in Milan. So I said, what if I, translate them from English to Italian? And they accepted,
Wow.
and they gave me, the tuition for that. So again, be creative a little bit, and really give and really be there. And then I got to a point when, all that preparation, started to become a business. And so at that point I had to, keep on seeding. And so you were talking about hours of work, a lot. I mean, maybe 12 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. But there's also another very good business advice that actually my grandfather told me, that when you work for yourself, you're always working and you're never working. Right.
Right. Right.
So if you want, of course, to be an entrepreneur, you know that it's your baby, it's yourself, and you might be working a lot of hours. And sometimes, trust me, sometimes I kind of like I said, I'm tired, and sometimes I think about people that work 9 to 5 or 9 to 4, and I'm envious a little bit in a good way. Because I say, you can turn off. But again, it's not forever. You're gonna have a period of life. I might say that maybe my seeding time, I'll last a good 5 years, really working really good. So again, preparation, maybe 7 years or something, while I was studying, like I said, keep on, growing. Now I'm talking really to the young folks, out there.
Right.
So, you are 18, you say that you want to work, for instance, in entertainment or as, or social media or whatever, really, keep on studying, do your, again, your school is very important. That was very important for me. And again, expand yourself. If they tell you, hey, there's this project, would you come? Say yes,
Yes. Yes.
Yes. The answer is
say yes,
yes.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Go and do, you're young, you can always learn. And then maybe you'll get to, I don't know, 23, 24, then you are, you're formed and you can go in the business world, and then you really have to, show yourself, and you have to give, and don't be afraid of, working. You're still young, you have the strength, go. And then you get to a point where you start to see, people that will come to you and tell you, hey, we love what you do, can you do this?
Mhm.
And then again, I still work maybe still 10 hours a day, but I have the luxury, for instance, to maybe not working on the weekends.
Right.
you know you'll go, to that point. And it's beautiful. I mean, life is, of course, done into steps. And again, to me, it's a luxury that, like I said, now I can, turn off the phone during the weekend. It's I know that everything is kind of taken care of. So again, my message is, don't be afraid of, really give, really work. And on the other side, of course, take care of yourself. If you have a moment
Mhm.
that you need your space, listen, even what I learned with social media, if you go away a couple of days, nothing happens. Your mental health is very important. Social media can be demanding. So, if you go away, like I said, for a little bit, it's not a big deal, but just, be sure to come back even stronger and, with even better messages, so that, people can really enjoy you and enjoy your presence.
That's fantastic. So how did you focus on fashion? Why did you choose fashion to be, the focus? I mean, you're gorgeous and you look great in
Oh,
everything.
thank
So,
you. Thank you. You're so sweet. My mom made me.
oh, so beautiful. So beautiful.
So
So
even
how did you
here,
figure out your focus? So I think that's
yeah.
more the broader word, is how, with, people that are, like you said, like 18 years old coming out, how would you, what advice would you give them to figure out what their focus would be with respects to social media?
Yes. So in my case, like I said at the beginning, it was a little bit of pieces that I put together. There are people that are maybe even um, luckier, I would say, on that point than me, because maybe they are, I don't know, 15 and they know it already. Okay. So in my opinion, there are two types of people: that, again, you're very young and you know it already and you're
Mhm.
going there. In my experience, it was, I mean, I was always an artist since when I was, a young baby. So I knew that I wanted to do something with art, but I still really didn't know where. So for instance, we were talking about modeling at a very young age. Even that, it came, you can call it coincidence. I personally don't believe that much in coincidence, and eventually it was meant to be, but you can call it both ways. There was this woman when I was 16 that came in my parents had this cultural center, and people from all over the world used to come. And this woman, actually from Greece, told me, you have the physique, have you ever thought
Mm.
about it? And like I said before, from your, world outside, you can learn. So I listened to that advice and I talked with my parents and said, what do you guys think? My parents were always very supportive and, of course, protective, but, they told me, okay, let's try. And that's how I started. Maybe if she didn't, talk to me that
Mhm.
day, so eventually, sometimes there are signs that, come into your life. So I just decided to, follow that. And then, like I said, I had also the passion for acting, the passion for writing, the passion for painting. And I kind of dedicated maybe a period of my life. Now I'm talking like a very young age, of course, when I was studying, to a little bit of, everything. And then when I was a little bit more an adult, so I said, okay, now I have A, B, C, D. let's put it together. And social media was, again, my way to put it together. There are people, like I said, and maybe they're 15 and say, I want to be a model 100%. That's all I want to
Right.
do. And that is great, because honestly, my journey was a little bit complicated, because I had, so many talents and passions that, it's not that easy when you want to, yeah, because you have to be understood outside. And that is another thing that I would like to share. I remember when I was younger, again, I can understand when people were, my guy, maybe telling me, oh, who are you? What do you want to do? Because people need, like I said, a coherent message. And it's
Yes.
not that easy. People want to see an actor. That's it. A writer. That's it. And like I said, it's not easy when you have many talents. And I think that what I try to prove to the world is that you can be different things, but if you have, like I said, a coherent message.
Well, I'll jump in here while her phone is. Are you back?
Do you hear me?
No,
Yeah,
we
do you
lost.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh,
You were right there at your big
yeah,
point.
do you hear me?
Back up. Back up 10 seconds
Yes.
and give us that big point.
Yes. So I was saying, so when you kind of understand, that you have several things that, for instance, you would like to share with the world, then you get to the point that you kind of, like, again, you put it together. You have to have a common ground. Let's put it this way. So maybe my common ground was, of course, on one side art, on the other side my passion to really try as my best to give back to this world. And so I try to keep that common sense of everything I was doing. So again, if I was a model, I was trying to do it in a way, for instance, to working with certain designers that had a particular message, or that they kind of gave me that sense of empowerment that I wanted to give back, for instance, to my fellow women that are following me. If I wanted to write about something, I was thinking, okay, how can I, again, empower women or empower business owners that are struggling? How can I give back to that? If I'm doing my TV show, I'm thinking, okay, what type of tips, people would like to hear from, what are the people out there that can actually enrich my followers' lives. So see, in a way, it's different languages, but I kept the common,
Purpose. It seems like you were always at, service and purpose, which I think is fantastic and so beautiful, because I think so many people that are on social media, it's always about me, 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 me.
Exactly.
But I love your message. The fact that everything that you're doing is so you can, like you said, to engage and to inspire the people who follow you. That is just so beautiful.
Thank you. And like I said, I was lucky in a way because my parents, gave me that. Eventually it came out natural. But I would say, again, to young folks out there, like, now you can, learn from me. You can learn from other people like me that are doing the same. We got to a point that, like you were saying, we are pivoting towards a new era, like the me era. To me, it's coming to an end. We're going towards, the us era, which is beautiful.
Yes.
And again, so you can, learn from, experiences like mine or other, people that, of course, had already, went through it and understood how the us is important. And it's important for yourself and your brand, because again, like, people, I mean, there was a moment, like you were saying, me, that people wanted just to see, the cool person and do whatever that person was saying. Nowadays, in my opinion, people are starting to speak up and also to say, no, I'm not doing that, because I think that, for instance, you are just a sellout. And people are calling them out, saying, why you are, I don't know, you are talking about that, I don't know, brand that does a drug that is actually not good for me.
Right.
Well, I'm sure that company paid them millions of dollars, and that's why they did it. But then they don't do it the second time, because people are starting to speak out. Trust me. Years ago, people didn't say anything. Years ago, there was, oh, you are talking about the drug, I'm gonna take it. And it's like, no, think about it, think for yourself. That's not
Right.
good for you.
Right. Yeah, I think that now there's so much more transparency with social media than there was in the past. So I really love that point, that you have to be transparent with your followers.
Absolutely. You have to, and you have to know that in my opinion, that they are, they are my friends. They are, would I wanted to give something to my friends and to my family that it's not good for them? No. So you have to think about, your also presence online and presence out there, even if, yes, it is your business, but let's take care of each other. Let's be kind with each other, whoever they are, and don't ever, do something just, even this, I understand. Like I was talking the other day with a lady who has an agency, and they wanted just to bring me brands. And I was very specific. I said, I did my, seating career. I'm not, talking bad about anybody. I think that anybody has to do whatever, they need to do. But in my, again, piece of advice, in the long term, it's better that you turn down certain deals, that you say even no, because it will pay off. Maybe you are, saying no to $300 and a couple of times, and then maybe you'll get, a bigger brand that will give you 5,000 because you maintain, your integrity.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we also learn to say no.
That's great. I love that. Great lesson.
And do you have a few minutes still? Teresa,
Absolutely.
I know we were going to go for an hour.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things I wanted to bring, and this kind of goes back a little bit in time, but it also addresses what we're talking about here, and also goes to just the power of the modern woman, and that's why I love that Teresa was here to do this with us, because you guys are a reflection of that. A lot of people push like development into a niche. You have to identify your niche, and that is certainly a thing. But I think the three of us all recognize. I mean, the past 5 or 6 shows on the Break It Down show we've had, a chiropractor who works on looking at love and loving yourself to become a better person. We've had a World War II veteran in honor of D-Day. We have you on it, a fashion influencer. I mean, because that is life, right? I mean, that's what it is. And so, yes, you can niche and you should, but you may not be allowed out of your niche later on when you look to pivot, or the pivot may be, harder than you anticipate, and then you stay in one thing. You both have made conscious decisions. I mean, Teresa's writing a science fiction novel, for crying out loud.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about how does, especially from the female perspective, how do you develop the courage to take these risks? I know you talked about what you did, but that courage to know that you can do it. We talked with Teresa before you hopped on about it, but how do you do that?
So for me, like I said, my support system was always very important. Like I said, I definitely had my moments in which, I wanted to give up. And that's why like I said, I always go back to the Gandhi story. That is, of course, my story. Unfortunately, we're not all that lucky, to have a support system. So if you don't have a support system, you can still have it listening to this podcast, reading good books, keep on, culture yourself, read philosopher, read people that can, inspire you. And that also was part of my journey. I had, some moments that I needed to, go deep and understand. To me, business is part, I mean, it's you grow as a person and you grow in your business, it goes together. So while I was growing, in my business, I had to grow as a human being as well.
Yes.
And like you were saying, it's not that easy. I had some moments that, I had panic attacks. I had psoriasis. I had, all of that but the good thing is that, again, thanks to my support system and thanks to, the readings that I've done, I've learned that it's, it's just life, it's just part of life. You are growing, and growing is never, unfortunately, I hate to break it, but growing, sometimes it's painful. Actually, all the time it's painful.
All the time.
Yeah, I love, that point of expansion, especially, if you want to expand your circle of influence, you also have to expand your own understanding and your knowledge of the world. So do you have a few favorite books that are really, your staples or the books that you give to other people or you recommend? Do you have like a top 3?
Let me think. So one is actually a book by Daisaku Ikeda, which is a Japanese philosopher and mentor, which is called, let me think, because I read several of his. It's I don't remember the exact title, but it's like about the inner revolution. I have to give you the title. Maybe I can, while I'm talking to you, I'm going and look in my book. And then there's another one that is actually the book that my father wrote. But
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's actually is in Italian. So I don't think that you can find it. Let me see. One is actually called, yes. So one is called Embracing Compassion.
I love
and
it.
It's called Revolution in Leadership by Daisaku Ikeda.
Thank you.
And then there's another one. Actually, there are several. Oh, and then there's another one that is also very interesting. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I moved. Okay. Another one is actually called The Opening of the Eyes. And it's still, again, from Daisaku Ikeda. And he really talks about in the Buddhist culture, how they teach you and how to open your eyes. So and then, like I said, the third one would be one that my father wrote. Like I said, it's in Italian. So my father is one of my inspirations. He is a medical doctor, but in the 70s it was one of the first that he had a passion for what you can call preventative medicine.
Love it.
Yes, and at that time he said, okay, so again, he graduated as a normal medical doctor. And he said, I don't find in the, traditional way of medicine what it's called, like I said, preventative medicine. And so he started to study at the end of the 70s, homeopathy and natural remedies. When actually was kind of, he was literally, it was telling me that it was literally going in a basement with a couple of doctors with actually this guy who brought homeopathy from France. It was kind of a hidden type of thing, because no one knew about it at that time. And so he developed that holistic approach that to me just normal, just how I was raised. So he always say, of course we are beings with several layers. So we have a body, but we have a soul, we have a mind. And so the concept is really to heal everything. And so he wrote a couple of books about it, and he gave me actually much inspiration on really understanding. Like, for instance, I talked about panic attacks. I talked about psoriasis. I knew from the get-go, because my father taught me that is not just a skin problem, or like you can call it like a mental issue. It's not only that, it comes from way before that. And so I've learned how to handle it. I've learned how to be healthier, to eat better, to also maybe accept my limits, but on the other hand, always go a little bit a step at a time forward. And that's what my actually father taught me in those books, and of course in his life. So I would say to people to really go deeper with your business. You're going to grow as a person, so go deeper. Sometimes it seems unrelated, but instead it's very important that you better yourself as a human being.
Right. Well, it's so interesting you just said this about homeopathy, because Pete and I were talking and he asked me advice on people who hadn't had COVID yet and what they should do. And my answer was preventative care.
Absolutely.
And indeed, in the 70s, it was, groundbreaking information. So I love the fact that that's what your father does, because I really believe that that's what kept me from ending up in ICU, is the preventative care that I do with my essential oils and supplements and stuff. So
absolutely, it's very, very important. That's actually something that, and unfortunately, the traditional media, very rarely they talk about it. And in general, like our Western way of approaching diseases is symptomatic. It's like, okay, you have COVID, I treat you. What about making sure that you don't get it. Because again, if
Exactly.
your immune system, is good, I don't get anything. I'm always healthy, knock on wood. But because, like I said, I do, I take several supplements. I bought a sauna for myself, an infrared sauna. That actually, if I can give a tip, if of course someone, can do it and you have the space, or you can go to a center. If you have skin related problems, the sauna helped me so much. Because the problem is that if you go to a regular dermatologist, which I did, and that is what I love about my dad. He always, he knew that, of course, the skin problems didn't just, if you go to a regular dermatologist, they will tell you that it's just skin related. They don't really know the cause, but
Right.
instead it comes from the guts. It's just, it's of course related to what you eat, and you can definitely, heal it. It's not right. And this is, again, of course, my experience. I found a way. So keep on putting cortisone on top of it. It will just,
Right.
put it inside. And instead, actually, when it comes out, it's a way that your body's healing. Instead of keeping it inside,
Right.
you don't get cancer, basically. You
Right.
get the skin problem.
Right.
So keep on putting it inside. It's very dangerous. So I tried also that because I was a little bit desperate. And then it was coming back stronger and stronger. So sauna really helped me because, it helped me to, send away all the toxins. And then, like I said, there are, like, for instance, it's very popular for people that have skin issues, but the celery juice is very,
Every
very
morning.
good.
Every morning.
Yes,
Yeah.
every morning. Good. And then you can even, for people that don't have a juicer, I know that is expensive. You can buy the powder. There are some organic powders that are, amazing. And then there are like many remedies. I'll make an example. I got to a moment of my life that maybe, I remember it was a Christmas. I ate a lot of cookies with a lot of butter and my cholesterol went up a little bit. And there are, like, for instance, there is a remedy. It's called red yeast rice. That is very, very good. And thank goodness nowadays, even regular doctors are starting to know it. So you can, get your natural way of, reducing your cholesterol without going to the chemical. Because the problem with the chemical is that it has so many side effects,
Side
right?
effects, right.
And no one talks about that. Okay, you get the pill, it will treat you the symptom, but where does it go? It goes somewhere, right? It goes in your gut. So it's, my father always taught me to, like I said, think about everything in a holistic way.
So let me ask you, are there foods you do not eat, and are there foods you live by?
Oh, yes. So I do not eat, I try not to eat regular wheat. Let me
But
see.
do you eat wheat when you're in Italy?
We always try to, so sometimes, yes, like I always say, it's always like, even so, wheat and milk, that is, the answer. But yes, sometimes the important thing, my father always told me, everything in moderation is good. The problem of, for instance, if you eat, because the problem is not the wheat itself. The wheat itself, it's not bad. The problem is all the chemicals that they put. Because the problem is that, like, regular pasta, for instance, it's, of course, it's so, I mean, it's a huge, product out there, and they just, you really don't know what you're eating. I'll actually give you an example. My mother, before becoming a psychotherapist, she has another degree. She's a microbiologist. She was
Wow.
studying, yes.
These guys are all
My parents
underachievers.
are geniuses. So she actually, she was studying in the university, that they started to do some tests on, the regular pasta. And they saw that actually inside the regular white pasta, there was marble chips and marble residuals. So she was shocked by it. So because eventually, they get it, I don't know, maybe they get it for free, and it just, it gives more weight to the pasta, but you are basically eating wheat and marble.
Yikes.
Wow.
And a lot of people don't know that, of course. So that's why my mother always told me, let's try. And that's why, as much as you can, buy organic. Of course, it does sometimes, they say it's organic, but they are, spraying chemicals around it. But at least try, as much as you can. And then if you have a piece of land, do your own vegetables. That is something that I've started. I love it. I love, the taste of my own salad. So,
Yeah.
put the effort, even if you have a balcony, do your own spices. Try to put, the effort to, even in your food, to put maybe some, spices. Spices are very, very good for your health. And so I try to eat a lot of vegetables. A lot, like I try to, stay healthy, but again, everything in moderation. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
that I don't eat, junk food as well sometimes. I mean, it's it's good for your soul.
Yeah.
It's just that, in moderation. Like I know that, for instance, today I ate a little bit of junk food, tomorrow I'll detox myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So I try to balance that way.
Let me jump in here just because I want to be able to wrap us up here. But I wanted to one thing say that when you give like you do, you are the Wishmaker, and everybody can go
Yes.
to your website, cmnetalean.com, and see
Yes.
about that. And you've inspired me today.
Yes.
You've got
Thank
someone's
you.
Yes, you've got someone. You renamed a street in honor of someone, and Teresa and I come from this
Yes.
beautiful little town, and I already have someone in mind who absolutely deserves that honor. So I'm going to lean on that problem, as a dividend to your charity, and also just the service to our town, because this person deserves to have a street named after him. The other
Where is
thing
she?
that I want
Where is she located?
it's in Benicia. It's on the bay. It's basically just between the bay and the delta, and it's surrounded by three sides by water, and it's just a gorgeous little town.
Hmm.
And it's just it's a idyllic little place. At least I think so.
So can you write me the story of this person on the wish wall, and then we see if there's a way that we can get connected, because of
Yes.
course we have to get connected with someone local and try to convince them. That's what I did here in
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
I'll do the legwork for sure. I'll do all of that. The other thing I wanted to say, just get your thoughts really quick. If someone was to tell you, say 10 years ago, that your
Yes.
name would be associated with Anna Winter, who runs Vogue magazine, Diana von Furstenberg, Vera Wang, Donna Karen, as peers in the fashion industry, what would your 20-year-old self say to that?
Are you kidding me? I mean, at 20 years old again, no, I would have never believed that. I would have never believed that. I mean, again, there was always that voice inside of me of, kind of seeing the bigger picture, but getting to this point, not at all. And also getting to this point in another country. I mean, I want to be very honest. I started my life in Italy. When
Yes.
I was, 19, 20, I had no clue that my life would have, gone here. I'll be honest, my mother always jokes about it, because when I was like, again, 17, 18, I was always dreaming of marrying an American guy that actually has some southern Italian roots, which is actually my husband. So I kind of, eventually I
Wow.
realized him. Yeah, because he's 100% Italian, and his blood is actually from Naples, but he's American. So I found it.
You manifested it. I love this.
So my mother always told me, say, see, you always talked about that and you found it. So, and that's another tip. If I can give another tip, don't
Please.
think that visualization is not important. It's very important. That's
Yeah.
why I actually created the wish wall. The wish wall, in a way, of course, it's a very practical way to, make dreams come true. But it also serves the purpose to people to kind of to push them a little bit to write down, their goals and their dreams and their wishes, because until you don't really see them, until you don't really manifest them, they will not really, I mean, come to fruition. And that is actually my experience in life. So many times I kind of, put out there what I wanted, and like you see what happened with my husband, even with my career. Of
Right.
course, I remember I was actually very young. Maybe I was like 7 years old or something. And I told my father, I said, when I'll be an adult, I want to be or a top model, I told him, or I said, I want to go to Egypt and I want to discover all the pyramids that are still underneath, the sand. I don't know where did I get that, but I still remember that moment. So the second part, I still didn't do it. But I've done the first part
I
of
love
my
it.
dreams.
I love it. You know, I just want to comment on what you were saying, where you focus on stuff. A lot of times when I ask women that I'm mentoring, what do you want? They tell me what they don't want.
Yes.
And I love what you're saying, where you really focus on what you want and what your wishes are. That's just a really, really powerful, you know, ethos. And I love it.
Absolutely. Like you were saying, unfortunately, and this is like we go back on what we were saying before, the support system. We have to absolutely focus ourselves in having a good support system, because unfortunately, if you keep on hearing, television and
Yeah.
reading bad news and stay there, like your support, I mean, again, if you understand, you align yourself with those thoughts.
So true.
And like you said, you ask to those women, and what do they say? The first thing, what they don't want, because
Right.
that's what they hear every single day. It's
Yeah.
all no, it's a problem. It's it's breaking news, a problem.
Right. Yeah. I love that word align. I think that's going to be my lesson for today from you, is how to align myself with the wishes that I have. I love that.
I love it.
It's very, very important, I think. And again, it's something practical. You guys can, every day take a, like the old way fashion, the old journal. Just, write it, put it down, or go to the wish wall and write down, put it down and be focused, in what you're doing. Trust me, again, this is my life, my experience. It did happen for me. Maybe it doesn't, people get discouraged because they write something and they don't see it right there. But listen, the universe listens to you. And like I said at the very beginning, I mean, I had some dreams, and actually they became even bigger of what I thought.
Yeah.
So give also the universe, some, and to God, some, some space.
I love it. I love it. The space, and what you're talking about is planting the seed. That is fantastic. I love it.
What a remarkable episode this has been. Simonetta, thank you so much for coming on. It was just such a treat to have you on. It's always wonderful to spend time with you, Teresa, and just the whole thing was great. I love it. Thank you both so much for coming on the Break It Down show.
You guys are great. And listen, I want to redo this. Next time, I'll be ready also with the video. And Teresa, you are amazing.
Oh, thank you, love. And I want to we're going to get you in Haute Living magazine. So let's talk about that as well. I think that your advice would be so powerful to our readers.
I'll connect you guys. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, thank you.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to push the sign off button. Stand by, everybody.